dreams to filter through this land of ours and fill a sportsman's dreams. Enjoy what nature holds for us, her bounty never ends. Getting back to basics with the practical sportsman. It's always an adventure, no matter where we go. From a favorite hunting spot to the hottest fishing hole. Outdoor life we all can share with family and friends. We'll do it all together with a practical sportsman. We'll do it all together with a practical sportsman.
Hi there, come on in. It is Thursday night, the 20th of March, the year 2003, a monumental evening, I believe, on television. In fact, I believe that I'm not on television tonight. In all likelihood, we've been told that this show will be preempted on its normal first airing because of the Iraqi war and so on. So we're putting a show together that has content that I think will be palatable to you during a time like this when the news is so captivating and frightening to many people. But we're going to go ahead with a show that has a number of things on it. We're going to talk about first ice as it occurred 20 years ago. The principle is the same today. What else do we have, Zach?
Well, Fred, actually, we don't have first ice. It's last ice will be the feature tonight's show. And we're also going to be revisiting that Predator segment we wanted to air a couple of weeks ago, but because of pledge preemptions, a lot of people requested it. And we've got a very interesting guys report coming up, so stay tuned.
Of the mallards that winter in Mississippi's flooded timber, the teal that pass through Texas, the pintails that visit South Carolina's low country, 75% originate here in a place scientists call the Duck Factory.
Feature that we're going to run right here is something that's happening right now with the ice out there. You'll find in Zachary's Guides report that he covers this, but it's what we call last ice. A lot of fishermen like to go out and fish there because the fish are very active. We're going to show you some fishing action. We're going to show you the hazards of what happens to people's shanties, talk a little bit about the law, and I think you're going to find this interesting. And the really interesting thing is you can't really tell much difference between this and what happened in 1982, which was when this was taped. Ice fishing. What was supposed to have been last ice. We'll go from the rugged shores and woodlands of the northern rabbit country to the frozen surface of Houghton Lake, where Ron Reed from the Lake Association is drilling a hole through what was supposed to be last ice. The best fishing of the year just before the ice melts. But Mother Nature pulled a switch on everybody with that false start on what we thought was an early spring. Ice fishermen are hovering over the holes out here on Houghton Lake. Nobody's in shanties because shanties have primarily been taken off the ice. We thought last ice was upon us a few days ago. Most people did. Remove their shanties, except we're standing by the last one here on the lake, which happens to be a dangerous situation and a violation of the law. You can see, Ron, that the fellow does not have his name on his shanty. You're supposed to have it where?
All four sides. 3 inches high letters.
And this fellow either took them off or didn't have them on in the first place, which is number one violation of the law. Number two is his shanty went through the ice, which you can say wasn't his fault.
I can't say that.
Can't say that.
No.
You have to keep an eye on the weather, on the conditions, and your shanty is your responsibility.
Absolutely.
If the conservation officers find out who owns this, what will they do?
I'm sure they'll write him a ticket.
Okay, and it's his responsibility to do something, or will the COs come in and haul this out of the water or tow it away?
I don't know.
Well, that's up to them. But this could provide sort of a hazard. It's a hazardous situation now. I can't really walk too close to this because what happens is, on a warm day, the sun beats down on the roof of the shanty, on the walls of the shanty, and will actually heat the water around the outside.
Yep, and it'll eat a hole right through. You get a little bit of wind and it swirls the water around it. It's just like running cold water on an ice cube.
And it just melted. And it evidently melted around the shanty, and the shanty went through. Now this ice, one thing you have to watch about shanties like this, the ice is thin all around the shanty going back underneath. I can see right here it's fairly thick, but out in that slick spot there, it would be dangerous. What happens is the water that's melted with the wind action
puts it out underneath the ice, so it's actually quite thin, so I'm going to step back from here. But this is a law violation and something that has to be watched, and whatever you do, if you find a shanty like this on the ice, don't monkey around it, because it's thin ice all the way around.
Well, last ice is what we were looking for, but I have to warn all of you that last ice is more dangerous even than first ice, because the ice has been rotting, it has weak spots, it's been thawed, rained on, snowed on, then refrozen, but underneath, those fish are hungrier and more active than any time during the winter. Pike are on the prowl because their spawning activity is not far off, so they're starting to feed heavier right now than any time since last fall. With the days growing longer, the sunlight shines through the ice onto the plants and microorganisms, and really the lake becomes a lot more active. Pike season, however, is closed now because of the imminent spawning of northerns, but panfish are active and eager to take a bait. We may not have had last ice, but here's last pike just before the season closed at the end of February.
Can you see right here, see the line moving? Can you see that moving around right there? See it going? Okay, that means the pike is probably swimming off slow. Here, hold the mic, Bob, because I'm gonna pull him.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, he's moving.
Okay,
I'm
Dick.
gonna give him a
Dick,
yank.
move off here. Okay. You got him tightened down?
Yeah. There he is.
Okay, you got him?
Yep.
Okay.
That doesn't feel too bad, frankly.
Doesn't it?
Ho, look at him. Here he comes.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. Hey!
All right. We may have to get the tape out for this one, too.
Yeah, it looks pretty close to 20 inches.
It sure does.
But that's a northern pike. That's the third one we've caught here. See the treble hook. You can see right here, it catches generally in the corner of his mouth, which is what happened right there.
Uh-huh.
He's still got the minnow in his mouth.
And you aren't using a wire leader at all either.
No wire leader. I think you catch more fish without him. But you see, the minnow is now free. Well, it's hooked on his teeth in here. Ah!
I don't
Gotta make a
think
little-
you should do that.
Little pause right there. Okay, but he was hooked pretty well in the corner of the mouth, and that's when the fish are running, and as long as they're going away from you, set the hook. Well, that's our third one.
Well, let's get a couple more.
Well, we weren't too pleased with the fact that the weather took a turn for the worse, extending the ice many weeks from when we had it scheduled, at least last ice. But for us, that also turned out to be the last pike of the season. Lakes will take on a whole new complexion in a few weeks as we say farewell to winter ice fishing on Michigan Outdoors. The stuff about the shanties still holds true in the law, but what I said about measuring the fish, the 20 inches,
Right.
that's gone a couple different ways since then.
It's kind of flip-flopped. We actually covered it a couple of weeks ago in the Michigan Outdoor News.
That's right. For many, many years, the minimum length on a northern pike was 20 inches. Then just recently, they upped it to 24 inches. Then your news item said that wasn't working out in many of the lakes.
Some lakes, they've eliminated size limit entirely. So
Who knows? Well, there's been a lot of flip-flops and things. Another thing we have a flip-flop in is predators, which used to have a bounty on them. They've been given blanket protection, some of the predators, and other predators just haven't been taken from the wild or managed, which has caused a lot of problems. We're going to go back to the Delta waterfowl feature. In fact, we're going to do the whole introduction as I did it a couple weeks ago. An organization called Delta Waterfowl is the only major conservation group that I'm aware of that believes that predators are the biggest problems with our duck populations in North America. Delta pioneered some really unique research in the past decade to find out if trimming predator populations during breeding season was a practical way to increase the nesting success of ducks. Well, Delta Waterfowl did this research in the part of our continent that actually hatches 75% of the ducks in North America. It's called the Prairie Pothole Country of Canada. Here's part 2 of the Delta Waterfowl documentary.
The Prairie Pothole region is relatively small in size. In relation to a map of North America, it occupies roughly the same space as a postage stamp on a business envelope. Only 10% of the continent's duck breeding grounds are located here. But in terms of duck production, the Pothole region represents the most important 300,000 square miles in North America. Of the mallards that winter in Mississippi's flooded timber, the teal that pass through Texas, the pintails that visit South Carolina's low country. 75% originate here, in a place scientists call the duck factory. Prior to European settlement, the region was mostly a treeless sea of grass, punctuated by millions of acres of wetlands, interrupted only by river valleys and small pockets of forested hills. Duck numbers flourished in this environment. Journals kept by turn-of-the-century waterfowlers told of sky-blackening flights of ducks, and one-day kills that often numbered hundreds of birds. The lush prairie gardens of native bluestem and Indian grass, grazed by herds of elk and buffalo that strung out as far as the eye could see, would soon give way to grain fields and cattle. The Pothole region would never be the same. Despite those early landscape changes, duck populations thrived until the drought of the 1930s. As millions of acres of wetlands turned to dust, duck populations plummeted. It was during those Dust Bowl years that professional waterfowl management was born. The challenge facing those early conservationists was clear: to create permanent water that would be there during Mother Nature's inevitable drought cycles. They had no way of knowing another, equally serious threat was looming on the horizon. The gray wolf was the dominant predator when those early settlers arrived. The wolves weren't much of a threat to waterfowl, but they did present a problem for early livestock growers, and it wasn't long before farmers and ranchers erased the once abundant predator from the prairie landscape. Nature abhors a vacuum, and coyotes, a smaller carnivore whose numbers had historically been limited by competition with wolves, stepped up to fill the niche. Coyotes weren't much of a threat to ducks either, but they occasionally prey on small livestock, and programs to manage their numbers were undertaken in the 1920s and intensified in the 1940s. Where coyotes were displaced, fox, raccoons, and skunks, predators that existed in very limited numbers, or not at all prior to settlement, began to flourish. These smaller predators exist in far greater densities than their predecessors, and unlike wolves or coyotes, they have a voracious appetite for eggs, the ducks that lay them. Abandoned outbuildings and old machinery serve as housing projects for these small mammalian predators. Modern, more efficient farming operations provide them with easy hunting opportunities as well. Millions of acres of undisturbed grasslands were reduced to narrow strips of fragmented cover along ditches, fence lines, and wetland margins too soft to plow. Fox, raccoons, and skunks use these strips of cover as travel corridors. Across much of the region, these travel corridors provide the only available nesting cover for ducks. When ducks are forced to nest in these narrow corridors, the result is predictable: that drop in nest success noted in the Beauchamp report. Scientists monitor nest success by dragging a chain or cable behind all-terrain vehicles to flush the sitting hen.
Oh, we know! See it anywhere? Oh, got it. There it is. Oh yeah. 2, 4, 6, 7 eggs again. Perfect.
Candling tells biologists how well developed the eggs are. Each nest they locate is marked, the species and number of eggs carefully recorded.
You say about 7 or 8 for the incubation?
7 or 8 days is fine.
Okay.
The closer the clutch is to hatching, the more reluctant the hen will be to leave the nest. She'll feign injury in an attempt to lure intruders away from her nest. If the nest has just been initiated, the hen may abandon her eggs and re-nest elsewhere. Field workers monitor nests throughout the breeding season to determine if they're successful, abandoned, or predated. If one egg hatches, the nest is considered successful. Starring indicates the duckling is attempting to break out of the shell. By putting the egg to his ear, the researcher can hear the duckling pipping from within, trying to break through the shell with its beak. Within 24 hours after pipping begins, the ducklings will emerge from the eggs. Sometimes a predator will invade the nest before all the eggs have hatched. This hen was still sitting on the unhatched eggs after a mink had killed several of her ducklings.
There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 ducklings that hatched. And here it ate one of them. Had a couple, and here, this one's been bit in the neck.
It's an all too familiar story on the prairies. Skunks and raccoons eat the eggs. Fox often kill the hen, then carry off the eggs and cache them to be eaten later. When a nest is successful, the hen will lead her brood to the water, where she'll continue to defend them from predators until they fledge. Unfortunately, in areas where upland cover is marginal, only 1 nest in 10 produces a single duckling. Predators get the rest.
Delta's research showed that there's no point in spending money to create more wetland habitat for ducks if predators are going to continue eating the eggs and eating the baby ducks like they have been. But is it really practical to control the predators around the potholes during breeding season? Well, we'll run part 3 of the Delta Waterfowl documentary in 2 weeks.
John Rosecrans Jr. from Coquitlam got this buck in the Upper Peninsula, Chippewa County, right across the bridge on opening day, 9:15 in the morning. I mean, that is what you think about when you think about those UP bucks.
I was pretty dang surprised when I seen this come running in at me.
I would say pretty dang surprised, might describe that.
Yeah, I seen it. Well, it just come running right in, and I didn't have a chance to even count the horns or nothing in it. I thought it was maybe at 8 or 10. And it ran behind my tree. I hurried up and whipped off my scope covers, threw them out the tree, and they hit my tree, and the deer stopped. And then it took off on a dead run, but when he did, he cornered sideways. I shot him one time, blew him right over. But the unbelievable story is my brother-in-law from Florida come down. He's probably 200-300 yards away. Deer come right underneath the stand. He went to
This
shoot
one?
it. Yeah, he went to shoot it. He never seated his shell in his gun. 3 times he clicked at it and never went off. And it come running to me, and I shot him. After I got done, I counted 23 horns the first time since I was shaking so damn bad. And I counted them again, it was 17.
17, yeah, but look at, jeez, that is a massive rack with, this would almost be a drop tine, except it grew up.
Yeah.
You know why it did that?
I have no idea.
Well, that's because that was probably the sun was over here and it goes towards the light.
Yeah. I wish the light was on this side and had another one.
No, that's a great rack, though. That must have been exciting.
Oh, yeah. I did a jig after I seen it was dead and it was there. I danced around it for probably about 10 minutes and pretty happy.
Really, a jig?
Yeah.
Where did you learn the jig?
I was one of them instant deals.
I tell you, I wish we had a video camera on that. Well, John Rosecrans, this is a colossal buck. Massive rack from Chippewa County up there in the
Drummond Island.
Drummond Island?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's Chippewa.
That is Chippewa County. Hey, hold it. Mom here. She's got something to say. What?
It's the biggest buck since 1943 shot there.
Really?
Yes, since 1943.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to let you know before we put this on the air so you can...
That's good, so I can watch it.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't have cable, so I have to go to somebody's house to watch it. That's the reason.
Oh, I see. I thought you were catching every episode of Friends or something like that. Well, very good. Well, thank you. You were for the Chamber of Commerce there? Drummond Island? And what is your name?
Nancy Rosecrans. My husband, Jack.
I didn't ask about him.
He should finish telling you the story when he went over and told his dad, too, because that's another funny story about the deer.
Maybe to you.
No, but to him.
I tell you, we do it, but we just don't have time because we got to get one more. Yeah, I wonder who does wear the pants in that family.
So in the meantime, get outdoors if you can, and join us back here next week.
See you then.
Gas company land. It's a gas lights, outdoor privy. Just a great place to be, fireplace. We had Dave Ritchie hunt with us this year. He wrote a little article about it. Just absolutely wonderful. We just love the camaraderie and being together, and if we get a deer, that's fine, and if we don't, we had a great time. Great hunt.
And you had a super great hunt this year. Well, congratulations, John Britton from up in Lake George.